Follow Paddy Power on Snapchat. The username is @ThePaddyPower, and we promise there won't be any boring snaps about gigs, the weather or the gym.
Welcome to this Monday Postcast. I'm Maddie Plough and I'm joined by Nick Watts in the studio. We've also got Tom Siegel and Paul Binfield from Paddy Power on the line as well. Watsy, first off, you've sharpened up your act today, looking very smart after last week.
Yeah, I got told off last week. It was a bank holiday, so I dressed down. Forgot about the podcast completely. And
was it shorts, Watsy?
It was a T-shirt, and quite a scruffy looking T-shirt. And Rob Watson admonished me and said I wasn't allowed back until I got a shirt and a haircut. So I've got both for this week.
I'm letting the team down today. I'm in my trainers. Tom, how are you? Good weekend?
Oh yeah, pretty good. I'm in my shorts, but you can't see me. Which is good.
You can get away with anything.
Which is good, yeah. Yeah, it was all right.
Yeah.
No problems, yeah.
Binners, what about you?
Yeah, not too bad, Maddie. I'm in shorts as well, and I saw you swinging. I saw you swinging on Twitter the other day, Maddie.
Oh, I did have my driving range debut yesterday, yeah. Well, depending on which way you look at it, rather disastrous, but I'm just quite proud I managed to hit the ball.
Maddie,
anyway,
you're not one of those people that puts whatever you're doing on Twitter, are you?
Not usually,
good.
Tom. But
good.
Got to start somewhere. Anyway, move on. Shall we talk about some racing? Why not? Coming up on today's show, we'll be looking back at Chester, Ascot, Lingfield, Leopardstown and Longchamp for the last few days, and we're going to look ahead to the Lockinge on Saturday at Newbury, of course. But first, we'll preview the Dante meeting, lots of people's favourite meeting this at York, of course, which kicks off on Wednesday. First off, we'll look at the Duke of York Clipper Logistics Stakes. And Binners, have you got some betting on this one for us?
Yeah, we make Harry Angel a shade of odds on, Maddie. 10 to 11 favourite, 7 to 2 Brando, 9 to 2 Tasley, and it's 10 to 1 Bar.
Now, Watsy, I'll go to you first. There's been some big price winners of this in the last few years. Tasley 14 to 1, Glass Office 40 to 1, Tiddlywinks 25s, Prime Defender 20s, Utmost Respect 16s. Can anything get near Harry Angel?
I think if there's a time to beat him, it might be on his seasonal return. I mean, we saw at Ascot last season. He's a very buzzy kind of horse, and I think it was Blue Point that did him on his first start last season. He's an interesting horse, isn't he? Because he's brilliant, he's explosive, he's great to watch. And it's just Ascot he seems to have a bit of an issue with, because all his 4 defeats, I think, in his career have come at Ascot. But he never runs badly there to suggest he doesn't like the track. I don't know why it is. It might just be coincidence. But to cut a long story short, he could possibly be vulnerable first time out, although I did think he matured as the season went on last year, became more tractable, more easy to deal with at the start and less buzzy. So if he does get away on terms, I mean, he's got quite a big advantage in the official ratings here, and I just love watching the horse, so I'd like to see him win. I think he can. Brando's the obvious danger, I think, probably ahead of Tasley. I'd expect him to see off Tasley. He did at Haydock last season. And yeah, he's got, I just love watching Harry Angel, so I really hope he makes a good start to the season. I'd love to see him put his Ascot hoodoo to rest as well later on.
You mentioned Brando and Tasley. Obviously, Tasley's got some brilliant form on firm ground, but a lot of people think he prefers it softer. Tom, with or against Harry Angel?
Against. Nothing wrong with him. It's just price thing, isn't it, Maddie? 8 to 13 on his comeback with a Group 1 penalty.
Yeah, that too.
I don't like Brando at York. Don't know why. He ran terribly in this race last year. I honestly think Tasley has a chance of winning this. He won it last year. He's getting £5. I know Nick said he got wiped out by Harry Angel at Haydock. That was on heavy ground. Let's not forget he beat Harry Angel at Ascot afterwards. He is 1-1, I think, with that horse. I know Harry Angel went a bit nuts, but I think if ever he's going to beat him, it'll be at York, where he seems to run better anywhere than he was brilliant in the race last year, didn't he? Won it by 2.5 lengths. He's also, I think he's unbeaten at York. I know he lost on his debut, didn't he, at York? But he's won 2 races out of his 3 at York. I think Tasley's got everything going for him. And if he'll ever beat Harry Angel, it will be on Wednesday.
Am I making too big a thing about the ground then with him?
Yeah, I don't worry about the ground with him. He's run plenty of good races. I mean, his best form, you're undoubtedly correct, is on softer ground. But he was second to the Tin Man, wasn't he, in the Diamond Jubilee? And that was fast ground. Head of Lamato, Labrisa Breeze. That's good form too. So, look, Harry Angel is a classier horse. He's a better horse, but first time out at York, giving a penalty away, I think he's too short.
Okay.
What about that? How was that? Was that good?
That was perfect.
Thank you very much.
We'll move on to you, Binners, for the final word.
I couldn't agree more with Tom. Maddie, I think Tasley's a big price to beat Harry Angel. Won the race last year. beat Harry Angel in the Champions Sprint at Ascot when he was, to be fair, ridden to beat Harry Angel, and then got done by Labrisa Breeze. But 9-2 as opposed to 10-11, definitely.
Okay, moving on now to the Group 3 Tattersalls Musidora Stakes, which is also on the Wednesday. John Gosden's won the last 3 renewals of this race. He relies on Highgarden here, who was behind Give and Take at Sandown last time. Binners, take it away with the show of betting, please.
Yeah, 2-1 Highgarden for John Gosden, 7-2 Kaylee's Dream and LGR, 5-1 Give and Take, 8 Lubinka, and it's 16 the rest.
Brilliant. Okay, Tom, I was saying to Watsy before we went on air, actually, why do you think Highgarden will reverse the Sandown form with Give and Take, if at all?
I don't understand the prices. I mean, it's one of those. I mean, look, trial races are trial races, and first runs of the season, you know, we've seen in the 2 Guineas, in the French Guineas, in all these races, the trials form is a little bit irrelevant in terms of trying to find a pecking order. But we're talking about prices here. Well, I don't understand why Highgarden should be a shorter price than Give and Take, especially at York. I mean, traditionally, and it's not so much these days, but in small fields, it's quite nice to be on the pace, I think, at York. It has been traditionally, and not so much anymore because they switch all over the track and go all over certain places. But Highgarden took ages to get going at Sandown last time. Now, it might have been she needed the run. It might have been the ground was too soft. I doubt it, because she won on soft ground on her debut. But she looked, for me, for all the world, that like she wanted much further. She wanted 1.5 miles now. This is still 1.25 miles. It's a York where I imagine, given the forecast, it'll be pretty quick ground.
Yeah.
I don't fancy her at all at the prices. I don't know whether Give and Take is the one to beat her, but I don't know. I didn't see enough from Highgarden at Sandown for her to be a short price favourite for any race, let alone a Musidora.
I totally agree. Have you got anything at a bigger price that you think could be worth a shout?
To be honest, I haven't had a great look at the race. I thought Rafe Beckett's horse ran very well, didn't it, in the Lingfield Derby trial, the filly. But once again, it's only a maiden winner, and so I thought she was pretty short. I thought Lubinka's probably got a chance. Her form last year ties in well with a few of the good fillies around. She was 6th to Lawrence, wasn't she? She wasn't beaten far at all in the fillies mile. Maybe she's the value at the prices, but it's not a race I've studied that carefully. And I don't know much about the Frankel filly. Watsy might know more about her, El Tijar or whatever. But you have to say David Simcock had a similar filly win the French Guineas yesterday, so wouldn't be ruling her out by any stretch of the imagination.
Is it Ed Vaughan's filly? I think he's got one in there. I looked at that horse. I thought she was quite
Dancing
interesting.
Brave Bear, yeah.
That's the one. I looked at her. Watsy?
Nothing to add really to what the boys have said. I don't really like the race from a betting perspective. I think they're right in Highgarden being the wrong price. I didn't see any particular hard luck stories in that Sandown race to suggest why she should reverse the form. And as Tom said, both of her starts are come with cut in the ground, and she's a Nathaniel as well. So she might well not be quite suited as well to this kind of surface as she was earlier. So out of the 2 of them, I'd prefer Give and Take. There's a couple of unknown quantities in there, like you mentioned, the Simcock course as well, to throw into the mix. And it's not a race I can look at with any great kind of not excitement, that's the wrong word, but from a punting perspective, I'm struggling to find an edge with this one.
Okay, Binners?
I think I'll go for Peter Chapel-Hyam's Lubinka, Maddie. He was 6th in the fillies mile, so that was very good form over a mile. She stepped up to 1.5 miles last time, was an easy winner on the all-weather at Lingfield, and this race will tell us if she's good enough to go for the Oaks.
Excellent. Okay, moving on to Thursday now. We've got the Group 2 Betfred Dante Stakes. I quizzed the lads before we came on air about who was the last winning favourite. Bonus points to you if you can guess that now. Binners, take it away with the betting, and I'll let you know who it is after.
Okay, well, it's 15-8 Roaring Lion, Maddie, 7-2 Cross Baton, 5 Mildenberger, 6 Wells Fargo, and 10-1 James Cook.
Okay, interesting. So it was in fact authorised in 2007. So that's a long time to go without a favourite winning the race. Roaring Lion, Watsy, do you think he can do it?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I've been on these postcasts a bit this spring, and I've been banging on about Roaring Lion a little bit. I thought he'd run well in the Guineas. He did to an extent. He finished 5th. I don't think there was any disgrace at all. John Gosden said beforehand that he thinks he wants the horse wants further, and he took a long time to commit into the race. And when he did, I thought he ran really well. Still showed a few quirks. He ended up on his own. He kind of hung left a little bit when it looked like he was going quite well, and ended up 5th. I thought there was still plenty to take from that. We get the chance to see him now over a mile and 2, which is what Gosden said he wants. And longer term, I'm not quite sure where the horse is going to go. I'm not sure. He'd want a mile and a half, a mile and a 2.
Breeder Jockey Club, maybe?
Well, possibly. So we're looking at this as a traditional kind of Epsom trial. I don't think he's an Epsom horse. I don't even know if he's entered. I think he probably isn't. But in terms of just looking at this race on its own, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing him over a mile and 2. He did run very well against Saxon Warrior in the Racing Post Trophy. That was only, 3 starts ago now. And he got a lot closer to Massar second time out this season than he did first time out. And, I think the step up in trip could make all the difference to him. And I think he's the one they've got to beat.
OK, Tom?
I've got an apology. Got an apology for you, Watsy. I was very disparaging of your Roaring Lion thing on the postcast a few weeks ago. You were right. I was wrong.
Well, not that right, Tom. He didn't finish in the first 3, so you wouldn't have got paid out.
Nah, but he ran a lot better than I thought he was going to run. He was not far behind Massar, was he? He nearly turned the tables. I think, if he'd maybe been drawn with the other ones, he might have turned the tables. So I think he's the form horse. Do I like the horse? Not really. Not really. I think he hangs. He, does a lot wrong in his races. I'm interested in the Mark Johnson horse, Mildenberger. Yeah, I thought he was I thought he was pretty good at Newmarket. Took a long time to warm him up, but he reminds me of Permian, and I think they say he's like Permian. I thought the Johnson horse ran a cracker in the Chester Vase, DXB. I think that went under the radar. Ella Calm ran really well in the Guineas. His 3-year-old colts are going really well. I think he might be the one. The only thing that slightly puts me off Johnson's record at York is pretty dire for someone that trains 5 minutes down the road. I think it's 5 or 6%. I think it's his worst of any track in the country. He runs lots of horses at is York, unbelievably. But the ground will be fast. It's normally soft there, and these horses don't like the shifty ground at York when it gets soft. I don't really fancy any of the O'Brien horses. I don't know, is Gayath going to run? Judging by the market, it doesn't look like he is.
Not sure. Don't think so.
So it doesn't look like a great race. I wasn't that impressed with Cross Baton. The form of his Epsom race was given sort of a mixed thing, wasn't it? My Lord and Master got wiped out, but the XB ran okay. I don't know. I think Roaring Lion's the class and might win it, but he's not a horse I've got a lot of time for.
Okay.
What about Merlin Magic? I'd throw him in at a big price if he runs, because I thought he was really impressive in that Sandown race. I thought it was an Yorkshire Cup. It was a handicap. He had a low weight, but I thought he was pretty good. But whether he runs or not, I don't know.
He's got good form with the likes of Savannah Star and Sam Gold. That race was a good race.
Yeah.
Okay, Binners, moving on to you.
How about a bit of White Mocha, Maddie, for Hugo Palmer? Second in the Craven, admittedly a long way behind Massar, but I think the horse will be well suited by this step up to 10. And it was interesting that Suffolk Sorcerer Hugo didn't run him in the
who?
2000 Guineas.
The Suffolk Sorcerer, was that?
Suffolk
Jeez,
Sorcerer.
I've not heard that one before.
Palmer.
Yeah, White Mocha, he beat Knight to Behold at Newbury, so that's obviously good form now. Moving on now to the Betfred Middleton Stakes. Coronet is in this race, who beat Morey, of course, to win the Ribblesdale last year. We're going to have a replay of that, perhaps. Binners?
Yeah, John Gosden seems to have a few favourites this week, doesn't he? We've got Coronet in here at 15-8, 7-2 Morey, 9-2 Smart Call, 5 Chain of Daisies, 8 Turret Rock for Jim Bolger, and it's 10 bar.
Okay, and what's your take on this one, Binners? Go to you first.
Okay, I'm very keen on Turret Rocks, Maddie. Admittedly, she was only 6th in the Moresbridge Stakes, but she filled the same position on her seasonal debut last year, and then won the Blue Wind Stakes at the Curragh. And looking back at last year's form, her third in the Pretty Polly Stakes reads well.
Okay, brilliant. Coronet, she couldn't do it for me in the St Ledger last year when I tipped her up in the RFO, but do you think she can win this one?
Well, she's normally running over longer trips, isn't she? That's the concern for her. She's dropping back in trip here, and she looked like a real staying filly last season. She's got one good, really good piece of course form to her name. Of course, she's second in the Yorkshire Oaks behind Enable. So she's run well at the track before. It's whether she can cope with them, dropping down to 1 mile and 2 first time out. Again, at 15 to 8, it's quite skinny. I think I'd be looking to take her on with what, I'm not sure. But yeah, that would be tight enough for me at the prices, bearing in mind she probably does want another couple of furlongs.
Okay. Tom, you in agreement?
I think she's a class above the rest. It's just, as you say, the trip might be a thing for her. A lot will depend on the pace. If they go really fast, I think she'll probably win still. So I think she's a different class. But if not, maybe if the ground got really quick, Chain of Daisies from the front might be an interesting option for people, especially in running players. I think she'll go short at some stage. But for me, it's all about Coronet. She's totally different class if she's on her A game.
Okay, moving on now to Friday. We've got a cracking renewal of the Mason Bet Yorkshire Cup. Binners, how do they bet on this? Presumably Stradivarius is at the top of the market.
Absolutely correct, Maddie. 15 to 8, and then we go 6 to 1 Desert Skyline, 13 to 2 Max Dynamite and Torsidor, and it's 10 the rest.
Okay, Tom, we'll go to you first. Perhaps a little bit more depth to this race than some
yeah,
we have
good race
been talking
this,
about.
isn't it? Yeah, it's a very good race this. I'm in the process of trawling through the Ascot Gold Cup. I'm doing a price-wise on it for the paper tomorrow. So I've been looking at
an early steer on that.
Well, not really, but I have been trawling through the videos of Stradivarius, Torsidor, and a few of the others, and Max Dynamite. I think Stradivarius is a very, very interesting horse for the Ascot Gold Cup. Whether he's an interesting horse for the Yorkshire Cup on his comeback at York, at, what did you say there? Did you say 15 to 8 there, Binners? I'm not sure. It's the same.
Yep, 15 to 8, Tommy.
It's the Suffolk Sorcerer. What are you then? What do you call yourself, Binners?
I'm the St Ives Sorcerer.
St Ives, blimey. I didn't know anyone lived there anymore.
Yeah, afraid so.
St Ives Sorcerer reckons that it's a 15 to 8 shot. I'm not sure. Down at York first time out. I think obviously the plan for Stradivarius is the Gold Cup, isn't it? So Johnny G is always a target trainer. First time up, he was good last year, but it was only in a Beverley handicap off a mark of 78. He then went to Chester and got beaten, didn't he, in a handicap at Chester, Stradivarius. Yeah. So, yeah, he improved as the season went on. My guess is that Ascot is the plan. Whether he'll be fully wound up for this, it's the same as all the races we've done so far, Maddie. He's not a horse I would ever back at 15 to 8. I fancy him for the Ascot Gold Cup a bit. So
what price is he for that?
I think he's 5 or 6 to 1. He's nothing massive. But would you back him tomorrow at 15 to 8? I suppose you could back him there. If I think he's going to win the Ascot Gold Cup, then he's got to have a good chance of winning this. I'd be surprised if Torsidor ran. I don't know what the boys know, if they know anything about it. I like the horse a lot. I thought he was really impressive in the Cigaro last time. I thought they'd go straight from there to Ascot. If they come here, he's interesting. Willie Mullins is dynamite anywhere he goes, funnily enough. See what I did there? Max Dynamite is his runner. Yeah. I like him as a horse, but he's an 8-year-old. Is he really going to beat Stradivarius? He might do. First time up, he's fit from hurdling. He just can't jump, so I'd throw out his hurdles form. The rest, maybe William Haggis's horse, Call to Mind. I think he's a bit better than he's shown. He's a very well bred horse by Galileo. I think he'll enjoy the step up in trip. He just was a bit disappointing behind Defoe on his comeback. So, he ran really well at Chantilly behind Ice Breeze.
He'd need to find a bit stepping up in trip, wouldn't he? But
well,
maybe he can.
You say that, but he beat Count Octave, didn't he, at Goodwood? And then he was second to Ice Breeze in the group race at Chantilly. Ice Breeze went on to beat Vazirabad, didn't he? So it might not have been as bad as we all think. If he needed his first run badly and it was soft ground, then he may, he's 20 to 1, 16 to 1, or whatever Binners said, or whatever the St Ives Strangler said.
Strangler.
Whatever he said. So I'd throw him in there as a potential.
Okay, brilliant. What's he?
I think Max Dynamite's quite interesting here. It's like Tom said, ignore his hurdles form because he just doesn't seem to like jumping at all. So he's had a couple of runs this spring. He ran at Punchestown last time. Of course, Mullins was chasing the title then, so he's weeding out everything. I think if you go back to his flat form, obviously it's very smart. We've got really good form in the book and good course form as well because he won the Lonsdale Cup here a few years ago. And yeah, he is 8 years old, I think, but he is quite lightly raced at the same time. So I wouldn't put it past him. And I think it's easier for these stayers to, they do tend to have more longevity about them. So I think he's quite interesting, fit from the jumps against Stradivarius first time out, who may have bigger fish to fry at Ascot next month. So might just give him a little bit of an advantage. And I expect Desert Skyline to run a bit better than he did at Ascot last time as well. He's third, but quite a well beaten third behind Torsidor. So I'd expect him to get closer. But, for the win bet, I think Binner said 13-2 for Max Dynamite. That would do quite nicely for me.
Okay, the one I looked at was Marmello. Obviously, he went off joint favourite for the Melbourne Cup. Stuff didn't quite go right for him there, but what do you make of him? Do you just think it's a bit of a big ask?
Well, you've just thrown another one into the mix there. I think it just highlights what an open race this is, and there's various different angles you can take into it, and certainly wouldn't dissuade you, Madeline, from a little bet on that. But I'm going to stick with Max Dynamite. What can we call you? What rhymes with M? You can't be the sorcerer. You've got to be
the
magician.
What can I be?
Magician,
or
Madeline,
you could go,
Maddie the magician.
Yeah, that's all right. I'm not sure I'll be pulling any magic tricks at York at this rate. Right, anything else we're looking forward to seeing at York? Your bet for the week. Binners, I'll go over to you again, the St Ives Sorcerer.
Yeah, I like a horse called World Order for Declan Carroll, who did well with a couple of nice 2-year-olds last season. On his debut at Doncaster, and that one's gone in again in the Lily Agnes, and you'd have to think that one's Royal Ascot bound. So I'm looking forward to seeing this one.
Okay, Tom?
I'm not sure, really. I've been having a big study up of the first two handicaps at York coming up on the first day. I'm a massive Tarentum Stour fan. I think he's really good when he's on a going day, and he does like York. I wondered whether he might bounce back from a bit of a disappointing run at Ripon on his comeback. He was really, do you remember, did he win? He won that big handicap, the Coral Sprint, at the end of the year, didn't he? And he's really pretty good at York. Now he's top weight and he's rated 103, but he's only £5 higher, and I wonder whether he might be my one.
Okay, Watsy?
I've got one for that handicap. I think you're on about, Tom. It's certainly the second race on the first day. I think Orion's Bow is a horse I was banging on about all the time last season. It just didn't happen for him. He moved to Tim Easterby's yard. I'll be amazed if Tim Easterby can't get to the bottom of him at some stage this season and win a nice handicap with him. He's really, really well handicapped. I think he's off a mark of 90. I think he's something like £7 or £8 below his last winning mark when he won a heap of decent races, finished second in the Stewards' Cup a few seasons back, and a really good comeback run. I think at Pontefract he finished third, hinted that he was on the way back. If it doesn't happen this time, it's going to happen soon with that horse, I'm sure of it.
When is he going to be jumping off that cliff?
Yeah, exactly. Roaring Lion or whatever he's called, and Orion's Bow. What do you think of his... I mean, I love that horse. I'm with you. I've been following him for years, but do you look at course form at York? Do you see it as an issue for horses? Because I'm a big believer that the ground there is tricky for a lot of horses. Some horses love it, some horses hate it. Orion's Bow's run, I think, twice there. I think he's beaten 2 horses in 2 big field handicaps. Ouch. He's been absolutely horrendous, because I know, because I've backed him both times, because I'm like you, I'm a massive fan of his, always have been. And I don't know, I mean, do you pay attention to that, or would you throw it out?
No, I would pay. You're right to flag it up. It's just a horse. Once you get locked into following a horse, I think you just follow them. As Maddie said, over a cliff. And I've watched him's mark being reduced and reduced and reduced. I think of the trainer that he's with, who is brilliant with this kind of horse. And I look at that positive comeback run, and maybe for whatever reason it just didn't happen for him last season whatsoever. And if he's turned over a new leaf and he's come back this spring and he's enjoying life again, then he's off a really good mark. So it's kind of for Wednesday, but kind of for the future as well. That even if it doesn't happen, then it is going to happen soon. I'm sure it is.
It's one of those, isn't it? You back him and he wins, and you don't back him and he finishes last. Or you back him and he finishes last, and you don't back him and he wins. He's one of those conundrums. I just don't know what to expect from him at York. But I like you. I think he's incredibly well handicapped.